The third point, therefore, that I want to make is that it's not tougher laws alone, but it's tougher implementation that works. That is the real other problem that we have. The lack of implementation of our laws. Is that where the real problem lies? After the Delhi Braveheart case, most called for tougher laws. The laws become tougher, but the nature of crime against women since then suggests not much has changed. Let me come back to the three women who travel by taxi cabs. Do you believe in the last 2 years since Nirbhaya, do you feel that the laws have been toughened, but on the ground, do you feel safer at all?
Not at all, not in the least. In fact, we've been so quick in taking action against Uber right now, but no action has been taken against the man who committed this awful crime. In fact, how long do we have to wait to, hear for something? We need severe punishment and speedy justice for the, all these crimes which we're just highlighting every December what's happening. Nirbhaya was again December. Every year we ended with these awful crimes, but there is no justice whatsoever. The cases just keep going on.
You don't think Nirbhaya was a turning point and it forced the system to wake up to the issue of women's safety?
Where was it?
Aishwarya, I
want to know. Where was it?
It was just like, it just had one outburst, and then after that everybody went back to square one. Even today I go to a place as populated as Hurstcast Village for dinner with my friends. 10:30 at night you're getting out and there are boys in cars who are catcalling. They're saying things to you. And it happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to my friends.
But that's about society then. It's about the male mindset. Then the male mindset hasn't changed.
No, I don't think it's just about.
Are you saying that these men who are catcalling have no fear of the law? That they believe that they can get away with it?
They have no fear whatsoever. But apart from, we talk about Uber, I've had the opportunity to travel even outside the country. They have a feedback form. The minute you're stepping out, the minute the driver drops you to your destination, they always request you, ma'am, please give us the feedback. It will help us in getting a bonus for our salary. There is no such feedback thing to any Indian driver that I have at least traveled with in an Uber. None whatsoever.
Is that the case in Bangalore as well? Do you get a sense in Bangalore as well, ma'am, that you feel that 2 years after Nirbhaya, there hasn't been that sense of that the men on the streets of Bangalore, their attitudes haven't changed in the bit. They don't fear the law. The laws may have become tougher, but the male mindset hasn't changed.
Absolutely not. The male mindset hasn't changed. There have been very, very recent incidences in Bangalore, in the heart of the city, at not even that late in the evenings, when there have been attacks on women. It's a recurrent thing. You open the papers, you read the news, it's always there. So I don't think there's been any impact, at least in the city that I live in, after the Nirbhaya case. Not at all.
Let me bring that point of a feedback form. Is there a feedback form that you have there in Chennai? Do you have a feedback form for someone who wants to travel, or in any of your services across the country, where a driver is held accountable? The fear is the taxi service doesn't want to be held accountable in any way. Even the drivers are not going to be, anything that goes wrong in the taxi service doesn't want to take accountability. Is that true?
So we do have a feedback form at the end of every journey that each of our customers take. There is an SMS that is shot out, there is an email that is shot out if we have their email address, but an SMS is compulsorily shot out, and the customer rates us whether they love the service, like the service, or dislike the service. And every time there is a dislike that is rated, it is mapped against a driver, and if he gets too many dislikes, he is taken out of the system immediately.
If the driver takes the car in a lonely and deserted area, if he takes it away from the route that he's supposed to take it, can you in any way haul up the driver? Would you haul him up? Would you hold the driver accountable if I rang up or one of these girls rang you up?
Yes, so we have a pretty heavy call center that is running 24/7 all the time, who is monitoring each of the cars that are ferrying the customers. And if there is, so we always know the estimated time and distance between 2 points that a customer has taken. So our technology does help us. If point A to point B would be 15 minutes and 3 kilometers, and if the trip has not ended even beyond let's say 30 minutes, then there is a team which monitors that, and we are constantly in touch with the drivers as well to make sure that each of the customers are safe.
You're claiming that, and all this is of course going to be tested. Vinay, is that an issue that as the women here are suggesting that 2 years after Nirbhaya, there is no fear of the law? You know, the laws are there, but no one fears them. Is that true?
That is true, Rajdeep. But I think there is another thing. The concept is completely absent in India, and that is something called preemptive administration. Our administration system does not, anticipate or preempt anything. You have a very large 11 cities now, 11 or 12 cities now, which run the radio cap systems in India. But you do not have a system where people can anticipate what it can do. There is no point in trying to claim that we have feedback forms if nobody reads them. There is no point in having a feedback form in a system which is typically Indian. You need Indian solutions for an Indian problem. The one reality about Indian taxi services, most of the drivers come from small towns and villages where verification of the addresses is very difficult. So if a driver has come from a village in Uttarakhand, the Delhi police has to write to the Uttarakhand police, and the Uttarakhand police station has to then have the same level of diligence to go back to his home and check that. That's something which is very, very difficult to do. So you need a typically Indian solution to find a problem to ensure the driver's safety is verified more properly.
That's exactly the point that you are making, Mr. Singh. Tomorrow, if your driver comes from Uttarakhand or comes from some other state, you will find it difficult to verify his antecedents.
See, the basic problem here is that drivers, number one, there is no training facilities in Delhi, for instance. If you are inducting, say, bringing in 10,000 new taxis in Delhi every year, for government can't say they don't know about it because they are taking VAT, excise duty and registration tax. And there is no facility to train drivers.
Because we find increasingly number of drivers don't know the streets of Delhi. They will learn, they don't know or pretend at least certainly not to know.
The only training system is that they will learn and get a license and then join somebody, private person, and meet the...
and then you accept that the private person is going for profit. Profit comes before safety. Does safety come first or does profit come first today? Is the profit motive driving the private taxi industry?
First, he is going to be your driver and he will hit your car 2-3 times and then he will become expert.
Are you governed by profit or are you governed? My question is simple. Is safety number one priority? Is women's safety number one priority, you believe today, for a taxi service or profit?
When you are talking about companies like us,
yes,
of course, everything is looked after. The only thing, the most difficult part in my business is hiring a driver.
You know, a taxi for sure, what comes first? Does profit motive come first or does the safety of women come first there, Aragya?
So if we can't even provide safety, we won't be in the business, right?
So is safety top priority? Is safety priority number one?
Yes.
Okay, you're claiming that safety is priority number one. Vinay, you're shaking your head. You don't believe that safety is anymore the top priority.
Rajdeep, the moment you have 4 international venture capital funds investing in a large business means there's lots of money to be made. Let's be real here. This industry of radio cabs is growing at an average rate of 35% annualized currently. It's the fastest growing segment in the public transport business. This business is filling in the vacuum created by very poor quality government transport systems. And that is why it's a very lucrative business to get into. Everybody wants to have a ride. The difference in Uber is that it's not exactly a private taxi service. It's a technology platform. It's not a service which provides people actual drivers and cars. It's just a technology aggregator. And that's where Uber's got its strategy wrong in India, because Indian solutions need to be very different.
Okay, let me then come to the solution number 4 before I take a break. The next solution, taxi was parked, remember, on a deserted, unlit stretch. It encourages crime. Absence of street lighting encourages crime. And again, I'm going to come to the women on my panel. Do you get a sense that particularly in Delhi, Aishwarya, the streets are not lit? You could be through large stretches of completely unlit streets.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that you have to be aware of when you're going anywhere. Anywhere in Delhi, you have stretches where there are no street lights. There is not even, for the Ridge Road, for example, it's so deserted. If you're going there in an auto or in a cab, you'd be scared, and you don't get signal on that road also.
Is that the case also with Gurgaon?
I live in Gurgaon to Delhi, you name a street, there are no street lights. It's really terrible. The roads are broken. In fact, yeah. So
there are no street lights. In Bangalore, is that the case? Large deserted areas?
Not even deserted. Large stretches of road like MG Road, which is a very, very central road, have no street lights. So, even if you have to go walk down 2 meters, you're thinking twice.
I want to put that to you, Ragini Naik and Sanjay Kaul. Why don't you make that a campaign? Make a campaign, Ragini, for example, for street lighting. Why don't you make that an efficient campaign? Forget about the politics for a moment. Make that a campaign. That's a campaign that all these 3 women certainly on this program will endorse.
Rajdeep, I can't hear you. The voice is cracking, audio is not clear. I don't know.
My simple point to you, I don't know if you can hear me now. My simple point to you is, how do you get most of the women all three women on the panel are saying that when they travel by cab, there are large areas which are not fully lit and there is no street lighting. Why not make that the campaign? A campaign to light our streets of our cities better. That's a political campaign that all of us would endorse.
How do you know we haven't been doing such campaigns?
Because nothing
all the frontal organizations of the Congress party has been doing this, especially in the university areas. I was president of Delhi University. I was instrumental in getting CCTV cameras installed, not just in the lanes, but also around the colleges, in South Campus, in North Campus, and in most of the nearby localities. So please don't say that we haven't done any sort of positive protests and positive demonstrations. But the point here remains, I agree with most of the suggestions and solutions endorsed by Madam Kiran Bedi. There are certain things which might be outside the purview of the government, but there are many things which the government can do today. I'll just cite a small little example. You see, one of the most important recommendations of the Justice Verma Committee was to establish one-point crisis center for rape victims. In the last budget session, the Women and Child Development Minister Menaka Gandhi made a speech, and she said that within a couple of months she is going to allocate 200 to 500 crore rupees for the establishment of such centers. Now the PM has intervened and stopped this policy.
I am asking about street lighting.
No, I'm talking about one-step safety redressal for rape victims. Do you think that is not relevant? Do you think this question should not be asked? Why has the PMO stopped this policy? They have money, thousands of crores
I am today asking about solutions.
But they have no money to get a one-step safety redressal for rape victims. Do you think that is an inessential point
madam,
that I'm trying to make? I told you about street lights.
Before I take a break, Sanjay Kaul, I want to ask you very simply. Your Prime Minister talks of Swachh Bharat. I'm giving a good solution. There's a Delhi election in 2 months. Women will vote for you if you say that I promise to make the streets of this national capital better lit. That's all. Simple solution. Why not focus on simple solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but why even talk about post-facto scenarios? I mean, of course, these are all important things, and you'll have to then get into the socio-economic conditions of the people who are driving cabs. Hang on.
I am talking about street lighting.
Absolutely.
The socio-economic conditions prior to the elections.
Who's
when you were ranting in the election campaigns.
Who's interrupting?
The Congress party is saying that you are well aware of all the conditions, the socio-economic conditions of the city. You are and you made women's safety a huge issue. I am raising a simple point.
And yet, Mr. Modi
just a minute, Ms. Nayak. Ms. Nayak, just a minute. 30 seconds. I want to know from you, Sanjay Kaul. Why don't you make a campaign in this Delhi election for street lighting? I believe there is no city as badly lit as Delhi is. Simple. Bangalore also is saying the same thing. Mumbai also, parts of Mumbai are badly lit. Street lighting, why don't politicians offer that as a solution?
Yeah, I think I could agree with you. I don't have a problem. I can't answer two anchors at the same time. But I also would like to suggest to you that you have reduced typically a very serious issue to merely an issue of basically just providing lighting on roads. Now, this may be important.
This is just one solution. This is just one of many solutions that I'm offering today.
My point, listen to me, if I could just finish, I would urge you to pay attention to your colleague Mr. Vinay Tiwari, who made fundamental points today. And he was talking about 2 or 3 critical things. One is that if you look at the company in question, it is imposing a model that does not work in India, cannot work in India, because there are facts that they're not dealing with. Number one, preemptive administration, a key point of what he said. You have to imagine and visualize the repercussions that happen when you impose models like this. Who gave them the license to operate? Do they even have a license to operate? One is that. The other is, if you really are serious about making this an election issue, and I've argued this earlier also, if you do not connect electability with the security of women, you cannot make this important. And you know what? In Delhi, with the way the state is organized, because the police is not with the state command, you will never be able to make it an issue in assembly. And that is why for so many years the Congress party could win repeatedly, even though there were rape accounts. by your standard, by every standard of the most horrific kind.
Let me take a break because it was, I think, the Aam Aadmi Party, which was the one, and Arvind Kejriwal, who was screaming, saying, bring the Delhi government, Delhi police under the Delhi government. So was Sheila Dikshit. I think that's one issue that has been raised by various politicians. But is that really the solution? Simply to bring the police under the Delhi government? Because, as I said, we are looking at this nationally. There is clearly the emergence, as Vinay points out, of a private taxi service across the country. Is safety a priority though for these private cab services? That's the question that I'm going to raise. I've got one more solution that we will offer tonight. We're trying to look for solutions after the horrific rape that has taken place in the national capital. Once again, bringing back memories of what happened in December 2012, again in a taxi. This time in a taxi, and raising questions about private taxi services, safety for women in our streets. We're trying to look at solutions. The other solution, tracking criminals. A centralized database having information on an accused on bail not accessible at the moment. CCTV networks on city roads still scanty. Is that what is frightening many of you? That there is someone out there who was an accused, who's out on bail, who's there out on the street with a fake license? Is that what troubles you even more? That the system doesn't seem to be finding enough of a deterrent even to prevent someone who was a criminal from driving a taxi?
You know, I'll just go again with the headline, has the system failed Indian women? I really wanted to also ask, what system are we talking about? Is it Uber? Is it the private transport? Is it the public transport? The system in general for the safety of women is failing us day in and day out. There are no laws that, you know, speak of speedy justice or severe punishment. I'm repeating myself here again and again. A guy who was sent to jail for 7 months, who gave him a clean chit? How does he have nothing on his records, and now he's a driver in Delhi?
Do you believe that's what frightens you? That, you know, someone could be out on bail there, a serial rapist could be out on bail there, who's
it's really scary. It's really, really scary. And now you've gone and banned Uber, but where does that put me? Now I'm on ground zero, where I now need to choose from a series of options which I thought were not as safe as Uber, and now I have to restrict my plans of whether I'm coming back late from work or whether I'm going out with my friends. I have no option left. What am I going to take? I don't trust public transport. I don't trust private transport anymore, and I have to just sit at home.
So there's a lack of faith? Do you have a complete lack of faith?
Total, complete lack of faith. What am I supposed to do as a modern Indian woman who's trying to empower herself by working late in the office till whatever time at night, but the government doesn't give me an option to be able to travel safely?
You know, Ragini and Sanjay, let me give you 30 seconds. Do you believe this has been a knee-jerk reaction? Simply getting, Sanjay called, do you believe that there is, it's a knee-jerk reaction to ban Uber? Is this typical of the government looking for a band-aid solution when the problem is much beyond one taxi service? Yes, Uber must be held accountable. Uber cannot pass the buck, but is Uber alone the problem?
No, I do not believe that this is a knee-jerk response. But I do believe that this is one of the responses that is necessary for the specific conditions. If this were some other issue, some other case, I would probably argue differently. But yes, this is one of the responses which is necessary to punish and to establish that this cannot be allowed, that this sort of service which cannot be linked to anybody and made accountable cannot be allowed, on the one hand. On the other hand, at the same time, there is no excuse for the processes that I have indicated in my opening remarks, which is that the police, the judiciary, the protocol, the fact that new technology has come in, which should have made us safer, is today making us more unsafe, is a ridiculous idea. My last point is simply this, that the responsibility has to be fixed at both ends of the spectrum, and that is what is necessary at this point in time.
Can I ask my a taxi for sure there in Chennai? Do you believe, what is the biggest lesson you've learned as a result of this? As I said, one of the solutions is information on accused is not accessible on a centralized database. Would you push the police tomorrow, since you say safety is a priority, to provide you that? To provide you with a database where you are sure that the people you're hiring as drivers are people who have been verified?
Yes, definitely. So we would definitely want to work with all the government bodies and authorities to make sure that, riding in a taxi is safer than ever. And, if you actually ban every taxi service that is there because, there is no fear of the law, then we are only going back in age, right?
Okay.
We as technology companies are trying to make it more convenient for people to travel around and make it safer. So we would definitely want the support.
But technology also can have limitations.
More convenient.
Let's be clear, technology also can have its limitations, particularly app-based technology can have its limitations. In this case, the driver had switched off the app. So there are app-based limitations as well. Mr. Singh, do you believe that taxi services will be more professional as a result, or have they become less professional in their search for profit?
See, I am sitting here as tourist transport company,
Yes.
and we are all of our members are recognized by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and the way we work is very, very different. Safety and security you just mentioned. My own company is 72 years old, and we are working with all type of.
Are you then now saying that the newer companies which are technology driven are the ones which are the
because they as he said that they have grown up so fast. They don't know what they are doing. The money is coming from somebody, and they are just burning it. They are selling they are giving the vehicles out at the less than the operational cost. It is not going to work now.
Okay, so you're saying that in their search for sort of quick profits, they are perhaps, you believe, compromising safety. But Vinay, give us the big picture at the end of the day. You know, the background you've given here, Delhi government radio licensing conditions specify the driver must have a driving license of the appropriate category, he must be a matriculate, he must have a valid public service badge, he must be a good character without any criminal record. None of these are being followed out there. So what is the solution? Is it simply that we need, is it technology which is the solution? Is it simply a system which is geared to ensuring safer conditions for women? What is the solution?
No, two things, Rajiv. One, I don't think it's about private taxi or tourist taxi operators. 2 months ago, the same thing had happened in a tourist private taxi,
yes,
which went to Dehradun when a couple had gone from here
That's right.
on a Diwali holiday and then got raped and murdered. So I don't think it's about one or the other. I think the real issue is, of course, the technology is the solution. Isolated use technology is not the solution. Now, one simple technique of technology which can be used is the police database across India just simply needs to be connected with the transport database. So the moment the transport officer, while issuing the driving license, logs into a system, this is how every country across the world operates, that you have an interlinking of databases which allows access of information between various departments who are supposed to work together. Here there is no interlinking at all. So the RTO has no clue that the person he's issuing a driving license to may have killed 5 people in some other state and he wouldn't know about it.
Okay, so that is one solution. We will over this week look for many more solutions. If you, the viewers, have solutions out there, send it to us. We are going to take all your solutions to the authorities in the national capital and indeed hopefully across metros in the country. Just enough time to thank all my guests for joining me. Hopefully some solutions will be found. My take at the end of this program: why does it take another rape in a taxi for all of us to wake up to the reality of India by night still being unsafe for women, particularly when it comes to public transport? Yes, the laws are there, but where is the enforcement? The problem exists, but where is the will to resolve it? Laws without systemic change will not deliver. A chalta hai attitude will get us nowhere. Either we change as a people and a country, or we simply wait till the next rape to outrage once again. Thanks for watching this special broadcast on News Today at 9. In a moment from now, Rahul Kanwal has plenty more on Center Stage.